Okay, I'll do this in English. Hi, also on Zoom. Yes, a little bit of jet lag. Woke up 4 this morning. I was like, what do I do now? Last Sunday morning. But that was good because I was really too tired to do anything yesterday. So I prepared some slides for this morning about from my trip to Korea. However, I thought I'd share a video that would explain a little bit more the providential aspect of this time in Korea. And then I will share some highlights that I had and so forth. So let's see if it should work.
The spring of the Providence has arrived. On a blissful day filled with the gentle breeze, blooming flowers and the verdant surroundings of Chunwon Complex, we celebrate the 80th anniversary of the holy birth of Dr. Hak Ja-hamon, the true parent of heaven, earth and humankind. The commemorative event of the 80th anniversary of the Holy Birth of True Mother took place starting with the opening ceremony of the exhibition showcasing the lifetime achievements of true parents. This exhibition and the pilgrimage of the Holy Land of Hyojong were planned to take place for 8 days to represent the meaning of being reborn anew from True Mother's womb through her 80 years of achievements in filial piety. It was a time to sympathize with the heart of filial piety while viewing the true parents' worldwide achievements in fulfilling Heavenly Parents' dream throughout their lives. From May 2 to 5, the Peace Summit was held with the participation of world leaders and distinguished guests from around the world. In his welcoming address, Peace Summit 2023 co-organizer Dr. Thomas Walsh spoke about the activities and direction of the Universal Peace Federation. The co-organizer of the Peace Summit 2023, Dr. Yoon Young-ho, emphasized the need for continental unity through introducing detailed continental projects in his opening speech. Following the opening speeches, Brigitte Raffini, the President of Sensat, Yves Leterme, the 51st Prime Minister of Belgium, Maithripala Sirisena, the 7th President of Sri Lanka, Michael Pompeo, the 70th US Secretary of State, and Jim Rogers, a UPF advisor, gave keynote speeches and delivered messages of peace. A striking media performance illustrating the journey towards peace was staged. This was followed by a video showcasing global leaders speaking of the Mother of Peace, True Mother that made her entrance, sharing her invaluable insights and wisdom.
오늘 모인 여러분들은 하늘이 축복한 의인입니다. 나와 함께 이 역사적이고 섭리적인 축복의 대열에 함께 손에 손을 잡고 인류 평화, 하늘 부모님 아래 인류 한 가족의 꿈을 실현하는 우리 모두가 되기를 축원합니다.
There were two events, the inaugural ceremony for the Elders Roundtable, which brings together the power of global leaders and the continental peace projects.
출정!
A surprise event followed celebrating the True Mother's 80th birthday. Attendees joined in a festive song and partook in the cake-cutting ceremony.
Happy birthday to you, True Mother.
A bouquet of flowers was presented to True Mother on behalf of the Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen by Suos Yara, chairman of the Cambodian Diplomatic Subcommittee, and Dr. Yoon Young-ho, co-chairman of the organizing committee. Similarly, Dan Burton, chairman of IAPP, along with his wife, and Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, and his wife, presented a bouquet of flowers on behalf of all attendees. 6 pillars of UPF, including the International Summit Council for Peace and the Universal Peace Federation, honored True Mother's 80th birthday by presenting plaques of appreciation. The celebration of True Mother's 80th birthday brought the opening ceremony to a joyful conclusion. In celebration of those appointed as the highest ranking members of the World Elders Council, the Peace Summit 2023 inaugural Elders Roundtable continued with True Mother. Then we had the 6th Think Tank 2022 Forum International Academic Symposium, Think Tank 2022 Sessions, and YSP Conference. It became a place where global intellectuals discussed peace. In addition, a special historic event was held online at the HJ Chonbuk Heaven and Earth Training Center to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the birth of True Mother. It concluded with the Chonbo Chanyang session, Hyojong Wish Paper Ceremony, and Ancestor Blessing Ceremony, providing a grace-filled time.
효동원을 설치할 거야. 거기에는 섭리 역사, 교회 역사에 공헌한 사람들의 이름을 모시는 공간이 될 거야. 영원히 후손들이 자랑하며 기리는 그러한 공간을 만들고자 해.
True Mother then said that she will establish the hall named Hyodongwon at the Chonpyeong Training Center to honor all the blessed families who have worked in perfect synergy with her. She added that it would be a space in which all their descendants would feel pride forever. A pledge service was held at the Chonjeonggung to commemorate the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the birth of True Mother. With excitement from the dedication of the Chonwongung, True Mother entered in her elegant ochre-colored hanbok, thinking of Heavenly Parent who had eagerly awaited for this day. The day then began with celebrations of the 56th Heavenly Parents' Day, the 61st True Parents' Day, and the 63rd anniversary of the True Parents' Holy Wedding, the 10th anniversary of the Choniguk Foundation Day, and a special commemoration of the True Mother's 80th birthday. On a stage designed after the Chonwongung, True Mother appeared, and the much-awaited celebration of the 80th birthday of True Mother finally started. True Mother, who had worked tirelessly for 80 years for the sake of humanity, was celebrated by everyone. Many people, including world leaders, sent congratulatory messages. And even North Korea sent a wreath highlighting the status of True Mother as the Mother of Peace. True Mother's 80th birthday celebration and 2023 Hyojong Cosmic Blessing Festival continued, representing unmarried couples from around the world who are embarking on a new journey into a precious heavenly family. 1,200 unmarried couples gathered at the ceremony, while 8,000 unmarried couples were represented. Following the ceremony, there was a cultural performance to celebrate the blessing, including a dream gala and a congratulatory stage by singers. From 36 couples to the newly blessed families, they sang songs of gratitude together. As a finale, True Mother and all the blessed families sang together, sharing their love, and everything concluded with a lively and uplifting cheer of Okmanse, led by the leaders of Chonaguk. The Hyojong Nuri Festival was held at the Hyojong Culture Center. Hyodongs enjoyed the festival all together and created memorable experiences through various activities and laughter. There was also an HJ Garden dedication ceremony modeled after the Flowers and Birds home, Hwajo Garden. True Parents offered a prayer and raised a toast to the beautiful creation of the HJ Garden, expressing the original beauty of creation. After cutting the ribbon, True Mother blessed the place with holy salt to dedicate the space for learning about nature. Then and they took a beautiful tour to the flowers garden and also to look at various birds. Then the HJ Cruise and Marina dedication ceremony took place. Two parents dedicated the HJ Marina and Cruise through a ribbon cutting ceremony and blessed the place with holy salt. The HJ Cruise will become Korea's first 440-ton eco-friendly electric tour boat. Will become a new attraction that will showcase the breathtaking beauty and unique scenery of the Bugan River. This was followed by IYSP General Assembly, the hope of the future generations. There were welcoming remarks by Matsuda Kochi, the IYSP World President, and some words by Kim Dong-yeon, the IYSP President of Heavenly Korea, and other IYSP youth representatives. In addition, a special lecture by Dr. Yoon followed. The youth then expressed their energy through performances by continent. After successfully achieving the long-awaited dedication of the Cheonwon-gung and celebrating the 80th birthday of True Mother, we now re-examine the life and achievements of Heavenly Parent's only begotten daughter and humanity's True Mother. We embark on a time of great mobilization towards the victory of Vision 2027, leaping forward in continental level providence. Step by step, we leave behind the footsteps of the providence and walk towards the victory of Vision 2027, uniting with Heavenly Parent and True Parents. We will advance and continue advancing towards the completion of the providence as one with Heavenly Parent and True Parents.
Okay, that was a long video, but I think a lot of things happen in Korea, and I thought this video summarized it quite well, so I don't have to go into all of those details. So I'll just complement this with my experiences and my thoughts. So we'll start with eating Korean. Alright, so this was actually my last day there. I had been eating so much Korean food, I was like, I can't anymore eat Korean food. For 10 days. And the ironic thing is that I love Korean food. I cook it at home, and it's like so, it's part of my diet. But then after eating kimchi for two, 3 times a day, I went to Burger King. But I did have the bulgogi burger, so kept it somewhat Korean. So yes. And yes, I don't know why I got the hat, but who I ate with put it on and took a picture, and I look quite childlike there, so I like that. All right, so it's been a while since I was actually in Korea, in Chongpyeong. So coming back to Chongpyeong, I took a lot of photos. I was actually, you see the pink flowers there? There's azalea. Thank you. I can never pronounce that first time. Azalea flowers. And the sad part, well, we came right at the end of it, and I was really hoping to see all of it. But so there were some flowers, as you can see here in the pictures here, for example. Like all of these bushes are actually supposed to be filled with flowers, right? But so it was on its way out. But Chongpyeong has changed a lot, actually. You can see here, the top left. You'll see that there's what's that building, to the right. In the top left picture to the right, there's like they moved the Kage, the store there, and made it a bigger one, but in the basement, and on top of it they have like a museum kind of experienced, and I'll show that in a moment. And then right next to that big building, you see there's a little building there under the mountain. That's like a new kind of restaurant, and also a store and all that. And I was very skeptical to this at first. I was like, okay, this is more, you can buy things in Chongpyeong, more things you can buy. I was like, all right, well, that's not really why I come, and I know better than to buy all my snacks there. I buy them in the big supermarkets there. But that was very nice. Also to the top right, you can see there's a new tea house. and that's also very beautiful. So they really upgraded Chongpyeong, and they made it, I mean, also bigger. So more people can be there. They have more places because it's actually more and more popular, really. And then to the bottom left, you can also see the Tree of Blessing. So it's very nice to go back to Chongpyeong for this. We weren't actually supposed to be so long in Chongpyeong, but they moved the event up 2 days, like the day before, because of bad weather. And so then I suddenly had 2 days just Chongpyeong. So I was like, all right, well, we'll take some pictures and walk around a bit. And so, but this museum, it was very interesting. I went in there, and then they have this new kind of experiences. And so you can actually, they record, if you part of the Chongpyeong Providence, or you were added there. And so I saw there was like a big screen with a lot of pictures of like previous blessings. And so then I saw these people there. So first I saw the top left corner, and I was like, I recognize that person. So it's Patrick and Fiona. And then I pressed a few pictures later, and then it was Patrick and Fiona. I was like, oh my God, who else is here? Felix and Nina as well. And then there was one, if you become like, what's it called, Chombo Victor, you can become, you can search for people's name in like a database, and so I was like, Valtad Nilian, and then there she was. So I didn't look up all of you, because I know how you look like, and so that didn't seem so important. But my mom is there anyways, so that was quite fun. But then in general, I met quite a few people. The top left, Geoffrey Koala from Germany. Actually, first time I went to Chongpyeong in the 40 days, we spent every day together. So it was nice to meet him again, and just to see, because we've changed so much since then. Even our conversations it's quite amazing. He's doing a lot of projects in Africa now. He's developing these agricultural programs, and he's doing that completely on his own. And now he was networking to kind of find people to work with. And so that was very interesting and very exciting. And then, of course, I met Kwang. I met them while they were here. They had just gotten matched then, actually. And so I was like, let's take a picture. And it's a nice picture there. Then to the top right is, what am I spacing out now? It's Auntie Merle from the Philippines. So Johannes and Johan worked a lot with her, and it was really nice. She took me to this restaurant that they newly built one. It was quite nice. Then to the bottom left, I met a few people that I've only met online, and it was really nice to meet, because it was some people that I really look up to in general. Like the person in the middle there, he was the national leader of Hong Kong for a while. He's also quite young. And then next to him is the Irish national leader, Eli. And then next to him, to the bottom left, he created the Orange Songbook, or the podcast, if you know that one. And then there's another Irish-English brother next to me. And so it was really nice to meet, actually. And I had really, really good conversations. A big focus, as Tremother was talking about, was this focus of interreligious working interreligiously. And it's quite interesting, because they raised a point which I never thought about. It's actually we are very good at working with interreligious things, because we believe if you're a good person, like you will, when you pass away, you will, you don't have to necessarily be like in part of our church to live a good life. But in most other religions, if you're not part of their religion, you go to hell. So it's a bit of a interesting point of view that, they're willing to do interreligious work with us. Maybe for this very reason, that we encourage good values regardless of where you're from, what you believe in. And while they're kind of like, they draw a line, if you believe in Jesus, that you go to heaven. If you don't, tough luck, right? So it's very, and they raised really good points that I was like, I've just never thought about all of those things. And that was one point. Another point was this kind of like, the providence from the lineage point of view was like, it's one, he called himself a unificationist elitist, and I was like, what? That doesn't sound good. But he was basically like, you know, eventually the providence will work, right? It doesn't matter if 10 generations from now, you know, somehow the providence will continue, and to be part of this lineage already is quite powerful. And I was like, it's very, very interesting, you know. So anyways, there were a lot of things, and I had very, very good conversations. This was actually during the Peace Summit, and so there were a few sessions we could have joined, and then but none of them seemed like this is not relevant for me. Like one was YSP, you know, this youth students for peace. I was like, I'm not a student. We don't really have students in Sweden, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna attend that. And then there were a few other that was just not relevant. And then I met these guys and like, yeah, we're going for a coffee. And I was like, it doesn't feel right to miss out on this. But then I was like, all right. But for some reason I felt like I should go with them. And then I did. And I was like, this was a highlight for me on this trip. And then in the bottom right, we have me and Eli. He's almost 40, right? And so he's been national leader for Ireland for a while. So he and I, we're very different actually in characters, but we have a similar path in the sense that we're both young national leaders and second-gen national leaders, and we had very, very good conversations. So I spent a lot of time with him, just listening and talking and working through things that I felt I was struggling with. But a lot of things are happening in Chongpyeong. So as in the video, it showed us a bit. So there were 3 new things that were introduced. And so we have the HJ Garden. And so in the bottom right corner, basically they have a new beautiful garden that you can walk through and walk in. Then of course there was the Chonwongung, which is kind of the God's temple. And then there was the HJ Cruise and Marina, and so that's basically a boat that goes on the river, and so these were all happening during this event. So there was a lot of like running back and forth, and the schedule changing. It was like so exhausting, and these were just like the big highlights. There were so many other big things going on that it's not being described here, but it was very stressful. And me being the only, apart from Chania, she wasn't in Chongpyeong, right? So I was the only Swede there, and I was the only person in my kind of age group with my kind of mission, being national leader. So there was like Gukson, for example, Italy, national leader for Italy, and so I was spending some time with him. However, because Italy is different from Sweden, so he had a different schedule than I had, and all the older first gen that were there, they had a different schedule from me because they all had different kind of parts. So I always felt just many times, it's like, where am I supposed to be at, And it was like, oh, so stressful. And I was like, I wish Felix was here. It's like next year I'll bring my entourage, So. No, but it was, in many ways, in the beginning, it was because it was so unstructured, right? It was so many things changed all the time. And I'm used to this, but not as like a national leader, not as like the leader for the Swedish movement. So I was like, I had to be at different places. Otherwise, we don't have a representant. So no one to represent Sweden. So I was like, this is quite tough. And then at one point I was told I was going to give a gift to Tremother. Right, but then when I went there for the rehearsal, because everything has to be like really perfect, because it's global events, right? And when I came to the rehearsal, they're like, "No, we don't need you, but thank you." And I was like, and then I had turned down to go to this I missed this new opening of this museum because I was there and everyone was there, and I was like, well, that sucks, I'm not gonna real like this is quite. I was like, this is not nice. I don't like this. And the thing is, like, you're there, and a bunch of these important people there, so you want to talk to these people. Like, these are people that have been doing mission for years and years, and so have so much to give. And I'm like, I want to really soak in, if not from the events, at least from the people, right? So, but then what I did, whenever I was on a bus, I'd sit next to a new person. I would talk to them about how they're doing in their communities, how they're doing in their nations, and so I can potentially learn something. And to network with them. And so then I was suddenly in Chongpyeong there when I was supposed to do rehearsal, and I was just like, I was so upset that I was just walking around there, just looking for people to talk to, and I was alone in Chongqing. So, not great. But then, either way, then eventually the day came for the kind of big events. And so, it was the blessing and True Mother's 80th birthday. And just you can see it, also from the video and from Felix sharing before the messages, there were a lot, it's like a tiny arena, right? And so, it's huge. And so, I was trying very much to find the people in the crowd. Because I knew that there were 3 Swedish couples, and I was like, oh my God, so exciting. Either way, the day started with the kind of, what's called like morning, not Hundake with True Mother, but like pledge service, thank you, pledge service. And we were there, but we were in a different room. So, and the screens weren't working, so, and that screen came out like at the very end, right? And it's like, you can't really see what's going on. So I was like, oh, I'm there, but I'm not there, and I can't see anything. And it's all in Korean, and the radio was working so-so, and so I was like, it's early in the morning. And because I was invited to this pledge service, and I wasn't important enough to get like get on the first buses to leave later, I was then late for the next event. And so we actually all had seatings, but then I was like, because I was late for that, I sat in the aisles, and I was like, oh my God, like this is and I wouldn't care so much, but I was like, I'm the only representative from Sweden here. I was like, and the representative, I'm the national leaders. I was like, if I had to sleep on the floor and sit in the aisle, I don't care, but I actually represent Sweden. So I was like, this is not okay. I was quite upset. I was like, how can they not save a seat for me then, right? And so I felt a little bit like a drama queen, but I was like, you know what, that's okay. I feel this is important. And so either way, we get to the blessing. I'm late, of course, and then so I sit in the aisle, but I'm looking for the couples. So I managed to find 2 of the couples, and they sat relatively close to me. So we have Victor and Carmel to the left there, and then we have Sarah to the right there. And so I was like, at first I couldn't find Sarah or Johannes for whatever reason. And I was like, that was really upsetting. And then eventually I saw them, and I saw Sarah, and I was actually very, very happy. It was kind of very special. I mean, I grew up, the last year's blessing, you remember, tears, whatnot, right? And of course I see Sarah, and like, very tearful moment. And I was like, I don't care if I sit in the aisle. But I was still quite upset, I didn't quite get over it. And I couldn't find my brother. I was like, where is my brother? And the hall was huge, right? This was really big, and that's True Mother in the middle. And I know I can see there are some students here, and you coming into all of this is the sermon isn't really how we do things, but anyways, a lot of events. I hope you can listen and learn something. Just speeding through this because I don't want to keep this sermon too long. So we had some events, some performances, as you can see here. These were some performances. The performances this year was actually quite nice, I have to say. Usually this was my 4th blessing that I'm attending as a participant. I'm looking. And this was the best one, actually. It was quite nice. Usually they're a bit too much. And too much for like the European, like lagom, They don't know what that is. But they were better this year. Even the videos were less over the top. Like they tend to be like, oh, the animation is just like, are you kidding me? It's just too. But it was better than normal. But we're going in the right direction. I think they're adjusting more to the rest of the world, rather. But anyways, and so this guy here to the left, he actually made me in a better mood because he was very charming and he had an excellent mustache. So I was very happy to see him. He was like, maybe it's okay to sit in the aisle away. And so, but I saw his mustache. I was like, oh, Johannes has a beard. He must be the only person here with a beard. No one else would be so daring to go to the blessing with a beard, but Johannes would. So I was like, all right. So I was like, what beard does Johannes have? So and we have a picture here. Johannes has this beard. So I was like, where is that beard? And then, there you go. So I found Johannes at the very, very other side of the hall, and I was very happy to do that. And so then I was like, I can be positive again. And so then after the ceremony, we could go down to the basement where everyone was sitting, and we had to go to the next event. I was like, I'm not going to be late again, because then we were going to do the inauguration for the God's temple. And so I ran down, and I managed to find Victor and Johannes, of course, and I couldn't find Sarah, but I was like, I have to go, oh my God, and I was so sad. But then when we got out, again, not super VIP, so I stood in a line for a long time. I was like, screw this, I'm gonna go find Sarah. And so then I went back, and so it was performances, that's why the screen was blue, but I was very, very happy to see Sarah there. And I mean, it's quite interesting because you're attending this wedding of like, I don't know how many people were there, like 500 participants of the blessing itself, like 250 couples. Some of this, I'm sorry, do you know how many couples there were? We're a lot of couples. So, and it's very confusing for them, if I'm honest. It's like they're just like they've barely gotten sleep the night before. They're all like, some couples are really, really happy because it's like, yeah, it's a great day. But for some of them, it's like they're one out of 250 couples, and it's like quite unpersonal. So it's a lot. It can be quite confusing for a lot of people. So it's always a weird atmosphere to be down there. But for me, I was very happy, obviously, to see the couples, and I met a lot of people I know personally very well that were receiving the blessing. Of course, they didn't get a picture because they're not as important to me. so just these three. So then Truth Mother did share a few words, and I thought we could read those. So it was the victory celebration, concluding the event celebrating the True Mother's 80th birthday. All right, so she starts with, everyone, I love you. Upon the appearance of the true parents, this is True Mother's, but speaking. Upon the appearance of the true parents, which was both heavenly parents' dream and humanity's hope, all couples, including Chunlug blessed couples and Chunbo couples, become one and serve heavenly parent in a substantial way. I am hearing and coming to know their victorious reports of how they invest their utmost. This blessing is not just for us. The substantial environment must be established for heavenly parent. To realize such a heavenly unified Korea and heavenly unified world in substance, increased effort and devotion are needed. Everyone living today should know about Chonwon-gung and the Chonil Sanctum, the realization of humanity's inspiring and long yearned for dream. We need to show and inform people and provide them with opportunity to give the best they can in the role of heavenly parents, sons and daughters. For this, I know you have all worked very hard up until now. Even I have had really difficult times when I could not do anything about the situation. If I reflect on those occasions, however, I realize, that Heavenly Parent was with me. All of you have probably had similar experiences. Let us strive to do our very best. And then, so after that, we took some buses to the Chonwon-gung. And so, in the middle picture here, that's actually not the Chonwon-gung. That's like they built like a smaller Chonwon-gung inside the blessing hall, inside the arena. So this is it's actually just a huge prop, which is like, dang. But to the top right, you see the new temple, and that's me, just a comparison of the size. And there's Chanya to the top left. She was like, we need to take a picture, right? And she's very good at taking pictures. So this one was a selfie. She wasn't too thrilled to take a selfie, but that was one of many pictures. And then, of course, on to Merle. I kept on meeting her, and she's really nice to meet. And then Chanya really wanted to take a picture with the finish. So there they are on bottom left. And so we go there, and we're not actually, you see here in the top right picture, there's some chairs there. This is actually kind of outside. There's an A zone and a B zone, and I'm put in the B zone. So I'm actually watching, you see the black square? That's a screen. So I'm watching all of this to a screen. Again, I'm like, grumpy. Don't like this. I should be inside. At one point they were carrying like the Swedish flag. They have all like so many flags that's just representing the world. And I'm like, well, there's no one Swedish in there. so it's not really, you know. And so, you know, you can tell my mood was a bit so-so, right? Maybe it was the lack of sleep, but either way, I was a bit grumpy. And then, of course, I get much happier because Mustache Guy performs again, and I'm like, this is better. He was really good. He was usually there was these performances that are just like I can't even like, it's just long and just Korean. This guy he sang some what's this, Fly Me to the Moon, by what was his name? Frank Sinatra. And he did it in a very charming way. So I like that. So, and it was quite. And like my shoes, because we were sitting outside, the grass we were walking on, like it was wet and it was muddy, so my shoes were muddy, and I was like, oh, like there were so many things to complain about, but he made me happy again. And then actually at the very end of the event, Keijo from Finland, he was like, oh, the sun is starting to shine. I was like, no, it's not, because it was completely cloudy. But then it was almost like, it was stereotypical, like right after this new temple was inaugurated, the sun started to shine. It's like, this is ridiculous. And it's with that, mood is good, right? And I get to go closer to the temple, and we took lots of pictures, and when I met so many nice people, a few people that I've only, again, met online for different workshops and different Zoom meetings and whatnot. So that was very, very nice to meet friends and family there. But Mother also spoke at the Chonwon-guk, so I thought we could read that. I hope you can see. So, glory be in heaven, on earth. The exhilarated and joyful voices of the people of Chonwon-guk resound throughout the world. Please hear this stirring and exciting sound of joy and exaltation. Throughout history, Heavenly Parent has worked hard and waited to embrace humanity. Now, due to the true parents, day by day, the voices of the people of Chonwon-guk will resound with praise for our Heavenly Parent. Heavenly Parent, receive glory and rejoice with us. We are immensely grateful. We are so grateful to dedicate this beautiful holy temple. It is certain that the people of this nation and the whole world will come to know that Heavenly Parent is always with us. We love you. We thank you, Heavenly Parent. Manse. This was actually, somehow we see True Mother a lot on a video. And for the first gen, you know, you've actually met True Parents, and some of you have personal experience with them. You've seen them from afar. You know, for you they're very human. For you they have personalities, they have character. For us, we just see this person who's wearing sunglasses indoors. You know, right? It's very distant many times. But actually, when this temple was inaugurated, there was a relief on True Mother's face, because she's been working really hard to open this temple. And this I don't know, I think I gave a sermon about the Israelites. They had this temple for God, and God would dwell within this temple, right? I said no, like only the priests would be allowed to go inside the temple, etc., etc. Right? So True Mother also wanted to offer this temple to God, to Heavenly Parent, and so that's why it had to be so extremely grandiose. It's really big. Actually, you see the grass here. There's a whole building, 2 stories under this. So it's very, very big. And so for me, actually seeing the relief on True Mother's face, I was kind of like, it was somehow for me also a very eye-opening experience. Because I never really saw, I always saw True Parents as something distant. And we always somehow, because we have the pictures here, and we almost worship True Parents, right? And I know that we're not supposed to worship True Parents like God, right? For us, it's more of a filial piety thing. It's a cultural thing. We're supposed to honor our parents, and that's very foreign to us Westerners. To a Swedish person, you don't put pictures up of your parents in your living room to be like, I honor you. My mom would be like, why, right? And she, it's more normal for here. Parents put up pictures of their children. It's that kind of element. In Korea, when you turn, 20 or 16 or something, you dress up as a coming of age ceremony. You dress up as a child, in like this hanbok, right? Where and clothing that you wear when you are born, right? And this is to actually honor your parents, to remind them of them giving you life somehow. So it is a very different relationship to parents at a whole. And I knew this theoretically, and I keep on saying this, but however, I still don't have a relationship to parents, to mother and father in that way. So actually seeing to mother, I was looking at her quite a lot, and through all of these ceremonies, I just felt like sometimes I felt very sorry for her. She does all of these things, most of these things for us, because so we can see her. I don't think she wants to sit, if we go back, we don't have to go back, but there's one picture where she's sitting there in the middle, and she's like, her face is just like no reaction. Why is that? Well, I don't necessarily think she maybe wants to be there on this pedestal. And so it's just, and we keep on being asked to send mail, like letters to True Mother, and she gets them read to her, right? And so, or even when True Father passed away, she sent this Mrs. Moon, this emissary, to everyone, and she came to her house. And so it's just, I think True Mother really wants to be with us, but it's just so hard because she's so distant. And so it's kind of contradicting sometimes, because there's this person that's supposed to be the savior of the world, yet I never get to have a personal relationship with her. And so then I'm reminded that, okay, well, she's actually 80 years old. And then I saw like her reactions. I'm like, well, she's very human, and she has a personality, and she has worries, and she has concerns. And so that was actually a huge relief for me, to see that. And so I felt like I had some kind of breakthrough in that regard. And I could somehow start realizing all the things that she's doing, because also this peace summit. Like, you had all of these super important leaders there, right? The ex-presidents of different countries. And like, why is she bringing all these people here? You know? And so it's just, for me, this was a breakthrough to see this person. By seeing her being human somehow, I could understand like, that there's actually really some value to all of these events. And so, yes, I was very happy to have that experience. So either way, I have a few more pictures I would like to share. So here, this is on the boat, this new HJ Cruise Marina thing, and so you get to go in the water, and it's really nice. You get to see Chongqing from a different view, and it's very nice. And here's some people that I spent some time with. There is Moon Kang Sanim, if you know him, in top right. It's very nice to meet him. And then some friends, and so very nice experience to go on this boat. It's very beautiful. And then we have also, we did a pilgrimage afterwards. We were going through Korea. I'll show a few pictures. But at the end of this pilgrimage, I got to represent Sweden. This was actually a PR move, big time PR move. So we went to Yosu, it was bottom left of Korea, where they have an archipelago as well, just like Sweden. And so here, this place is kind of declining in population. So basically, we got a lot of help from different UPF people, and so yes, and so we entered this event at the very end to kind of we had 100 international people there, and so we went to this event, and then we had 14 people that represented different countries, and I represented Sweden. And so here's I sat next to this person he was a government official there. And at first he wasn't too excited to sit next to this young guy, but then I was asked to receive a representative gift on behalf of everyone, and then he was like, oh, this is very interesting, so he wanted to take a picture. So then I was like, oh, he might be interesting. So we exchanged information, and Sweden, and so basically this event that we had was in preparation for 2026, where they're going to have a huge international governmental island exhibition of some sort. And Sweden actually has the most islands in the world. I don't know if you know that. And so I was like, I should get in contact with the island people of Sweden, whoever they might be. And so to send some representatives, because it's actually very good networking for them. So I thought, we'll see where that goes. And then in the bottom right here, we have a picture, and I really like this picture. Why? Not because of the beautiful background and the mountain and whatnot, but actually because of these two. So with all of these events that I went to, there were all these leaders there, and I always felt like I didn't know anyone except for the Europeans. I know the Europeans really well, right? And some other international people. And they love talking to me. They love meeting me. I'm like, what's going on with you, right? But then when I went to all these big leaders meetings, there are all these Koreans there that they're not, I can't connect to them. Like, what do I tell them, right? And so, however, we went to this GPA and UPA meeting because they're currently, they send missionaries all around the world. And it's a big push from these organizations to actually not do witnessing in their own countries solely, but really send to other countries. And so I have been thinking a lot about receiving missionaries here in Sweden because, of course, I want our community to grow, and I think we have a lot to give. And so there was this presentation, and the people presenting this knew only me from the crowd. And suddenly, I was the best person to be in the room. So at all these events, I didn't know anyone. I was like just trying to network where I could. But at this particular meeting, from the UPA, from the Koreans, there was a sister who I did SDF with, who actually gave me my Korean name, Sung-ho, right? It's unofficial, of course, but she gave me my Korean name. And so we had a really good relationship. So I was talking to her. And she asked me, because they want to send missionaries everywhere. And does Sweden want missionaries? And I said, yes. And she's like, oh, really? Because a lot of countries don't want missionaries because it's a lot of maintaining and you have to find someone to take care of them, etc. Look at Ingmar here. and so forth. So it's a lot of reasons why you cannot receive missionaries. And so same thing with GPA. There, I actually didn't know anyone who was presenting. However, one of the mornings we were there in Chongpyeong where I had nothing to do. I joined the GPA. The Americans. I joined their Hunuk in the morning. And so then I met a few people. I met Denthu, who is the tall guy to the right. I was his team leader during SDF. And he's been telling GPA, this program, he's like, this guy in Sweden, Peter, is really great. Believe me, I would not have thought that he would speak highly of me because I know I didn't struggle as much with any one of my team members as much as I did with him. He was difficult to work with, right? But anyways, he left SDF and he was like, here we have a young person that's not only competent and has a good faith and has a good relationship to God and to parents, but also he's taking on this leadership, and he's really trying his best. And he's in his community, they managed to mobilize, a group of young second gen, and they're running their community, and they're doing it fairly well from what he knows. So he was like, he's really an example. And so I've been telling all the other GPA people there. So I meet this guy there to the left. He was presenting GPA, and I met him. He's like, "Oh my God, are you Peter?" Because he saw me. He saw this. We always were wearing these things, right? And it's like. I remember when Felix came back with this last year and he put it in the fridge. I didn't understand why this was like, it's just your name, it's just national president. And I was like, why are you putting that on the fridge? It's like just your name, I was like, you can do whatever you want, all right? And then I was in Korea and I'm sidetracking a little bit, but, saying national president on a name tag is a huge flex. Because in Sweden it's very, everyone is equally important. No one is special and everyone is special, right? This is kind of lagom perspective the Swedes have. In Korea, hierarchy is very, very important. And so there are a few times I was just like, I went to some Koreans, I was just like, national president? And they're like, oh my God, national president. Wow, Or I met some Filipino brothers and sisters that actually knew my brother, and they were like, oh, what are you doing here? I'm here representing my country, Sweden. And he looked at my son. He was like, national president. And he starts doing a bow. And I was like, I have to hold his hands. I was like, we're all equal under heaven, So It's. I will put this on my fridge too now. This is, you know, as far as important goes, this is it's good stuff. National president. Either way. And so it's a cool flex. So anyways, he saw my name and said, "Oh my God!" Like, and I start talking to him about like, you know, our community here and my vision for the community and how we're doing, how we've been, you know, doing this transition, how we've had a few guests, how we have a few new members, and all of these things. And he's so inspired. He's like, oh, he's like eating it all up. Like, wow. He's like, that's amazing. And he's like, you know, we initially just sent to countries that have like active witnessing going on. We don't have active witnessing going on in Sweden. But he was like, but you know, we did this in a few European countries that have active witnessing, and they didn't have such amazing results anyways. So he's like, I'm actually very open to sending to potentially Sweden. And I was like, well, you know, I have spiritual sons. I have witnessed to a few people. I know what it's like to take care of someone. And so, and I told him like all of them second gen in Sweden have done witnessing at one point, more or less, right? And so we actually know what that's like, and we know what it means to retain members. And so there's a very likelihood that we will be receiving missionaries. I wasn't thinking so soon, but we'll see. Either way, so that was very, very cool to have the experience to be the most important person in the room. It's very, very nice. And so, either way, we did this pilgrimage, and so we got to see the Bekto Islands, and it's basically just this cliffs sticking up, you know, and it's very, very cool. Here's a picture with some Irish brothers. I was a bit jealous of Eli because he had an entourage. I didn't. So next year. Either way. And then and that was really nice. It was really cool to see Korea. We went to this Chonjongung in there's these islands, and there's a palace there as well, and you know where you know, Hunokay, whatnot, true father, true mother, stuff like that. And then of course the food. I was really looking forward to the food. I tried kimchi jjigae in the bottom right here twice, and my kimchi jjigae is better, by the way. So that's a pretty cool flex. But otherwise, it was really good food. To the top left, that was a meal we got from True Mother, and it was like just a little bit of meat and just like 10 different kinds of mushrooms. I was like, it was really, really nice. True Mother wanted to give us something because she couldn't meet us, so she wanted to give us something. And then there was a barbecue we had once. So that was pretty much it. That was my trip. So, thank you.